Coming up tonight on YCN News, police released the name of a woman killed yesterday on I-89 after her car rolled down the embankment. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention ranked New Hampshire as the third highest in the nation for the number of residents prescribed opioids with a high risk for addiction. And a Whittingham, Vermont man is charged with aggravated assault by state police after shooting a man with a pellet gun. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Thursday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Police released the name of the woman killed yesterday when the car she drove northbound on I-89 rolled down the embankment and landed on its roof. 24-year-old Heidi Rabideau of Colchester, Vermont, died from injuries she sustained in the accident. The accident occurred during a traffic tie-up along I-89, a tie-up that caused police to close exits 17 through 19. Around 9:58 a.m. Wednesday, traffic was backed up as downed power lines started a brush fire near the highway. Police say an unidentified tractor-trailer hauling a large piece of equipment may have brought down the wires, which landed across the road near exit 19. North and southbound traffic was detoured off exit 19 while state transportation crews and police removed the wires. Witnesses interviewed by police say the woman swerved the sedan to avoid hitting another car in the chain of cars stopped in traffic. In the course of braking, she lost control of the car and the car she drove went down the side of the road. The car slid down the slope and rolled over several times. She was taken to Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. She later died from head injuries, report police. The collision is still under investigation. Anyone with additional information about yesterday's rollover accident is asked to call Trooper Ryan St. Cyr at 603-271-3636. Consider it the calm between two storms. More rain and thunderstorms are predicted to blast the upper and Connecticut river valleys this evening, even as skies are sunny and temps are in the mid-80s today. That's not how most people would describe yesterday afternoon's downpours. Lightning and thunder pounded the region yesterday, including Sullivan and Mulberry Streets in Claremont. Internet connections were either down completely or spotty at best. Local television service was temporarily delayed. Yesterday's thunder, lightning, and rainstorms marked the second time in 4 days that power outages affected parts of Claremont and Cornish. For about 2 hours Saturday morning, residents were without power in both towns. Meanwhile, Arthur is the season's first designated hurricane, having been born as a tropical storm. Hurricane Arthur is in North Carolina, and rain and storms from his fallout are making their way up the Atlantic coast. Even in Boston, Hurricane Arthur's approach is having an impact on annual 4th of July festivities on the Esplanade. This yearly celebration will be held tonight, July 3rd. And speaking of the 4th of July, expect to see an increased presence of local and state police in our region. Traffic stops will be conducted to ensure safe and sober driving. Vermont State Police say statistics show this fun holiday also is one of the country's deadliest. Alcohol is a leading cause of fatalities. On the July 4th weekends between 2008 and 2012, 765 people died from crashes involving drivers whose blood alcohol level was at or greater than 0.8. In most states, that's the point where someone is considered driving under the influence. On a related note, a 22-year-old Cambridgeport, Vermont woman was arrested on a first charge of driving under the influence. Alexandria man was in a rollover accident at 12:40 a.m. this morning on Back Westminster Road in Westminster. Police responded to the single-vehicle rollover. Man was not injured, yet she was screened for DUI and taken into custody. She was released and is scheduled to appear July 22nd on the charge in Windham County Superior Court. The owners of a family park in Putney, Vermont, are seeking permission to turn the area into a campground, the Brattleboro Reformer reports. Santa's landowner Lillian Billywitz of Westminster filed an application with the Putney Development Review Board requesting 15 tented campsites within the property's fenced area off Route 5. Santa's land has been in the news lately, not always for the best reasons. A year ago, Billywitz bought the animal and amusement ride park. In March, a member of the Windham County Sheriff's Department discovered dead and ill animals at the park. Billywitz and another man, 25-year-old Brian Dessler of Westminster, pleaded not guilty to charges of animal cruelty. Their case is under consideration by the court, according to the Reformer. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are ranking New Hampshire as the third highest in the nation for the number of residents who are prescribed opioids that have a high potential for leading to drug abuse and addiction. After the CDC issued its report, Republican U.S. Senator Kelly Ayotte introduced bipartisan legislation in Washington calling for a task force to study prescription practices and drug monitoring. Ayotte says all states need to have guidelines and the ability to monitor prescription drug practices to avoid doctor shopping by opioid or other addicted patients. Known as the Pain Management Best Practices Interagency Task Force, doctors, pharmacists, and members of the Departments of Health and Human Services, the Veterans Affairs, Defense, and Drug Enforcement Administration would be involved. Earlier, governors from the 5 of the 6 New England states met to discuss how to treat and reduce residents' drug addictions. Maine Governor Paul LePage was unable to attend. Also, crimes related to drug addiction, including break-ins and selling jewelry to pawn shops for quick cash, are under scrutiny. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Hanover Police Captain Francis Moran is wrapping up a 26-year career with this town's police department. Newly appointed Hanover Police Chief Charlie Dennis, on behalf of the department and the town of Hanover, wished Captain Moran well as he begins his retirement. Moran worked his way up through the ranks, joining Hanover's police department in May 1988 after graduating from St. Michael's College in Vermont. Moran began his career as a patrol officer before becoming a patrol sergeant. He served as a detective in the sergeant, lieutenant, and captain ranks. Moran took over as acting police chief after former Hanover Police Chief Nicholas Giacconi suffered a stroke in February 2013. Moran served as chief for 16 months. In other police news, a 39-year-old Whittingham, Vermont man is charged with aggravated assault by state police. Tyson Dix was scheduled to be arraigned on the charge yesterday in Windham Court. Dix is accused of shooting another man with a pellet gun and shooting at the victim's car. The police were called to a noise complaint on Cyrus Road in Whittingham at 9:29 p.m. on Tuesday. Police say there has been an ongoing dispute between Dix and the victim, 33-year-old Jonathan Corbacero of Whittingham. Corbacero was taken to the hospital by ambulance for treatment of his skin wound. Police say this case is still an ongoing investigation. Anyone having information is urged to call Vermont State Police at its Brattleboro barracks at 802-257-7101. A popular swimming hole may be closed down by its owner because of vandalism on his property. 71-year-old Richard McDonough of Dorset reported an act of vandalism for the second time this year at the quarry he owns. Shrubs and trees were cut down between June 30th and July 2nd. McDonough says he wants to keep the Dorset Quarry open for the public to enjoy a swim on a summer day, yet the cost to him to clean up the brush from shrubs and trees cut down without his knowledge or permission is too costly, and it is illegal to remove this vegetation from a quarry site, say police. McDonough reported the vandalism to police at 2:18 p.m. yesterday. Vermont State Police is continuing to investigate. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact the Vermont State Police at 802-442-5421. Information can also be submitted anonymously online at www.vtips.info or text CRIMES to 74637 to keyword VTIPS. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now, Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we have an 80% chance of precipitation with showers and possibly severe thunderstorms expected before 9 p.m. Lows will be in the upper 60s with winds around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow we are expecting showers after 3 p.m. with cloudy skies and a 30% chance of rain. Highs will be in the upper 70s with winds around 5 miles per hour. Friday night we have a 40% chance of showers after 2 a.m. with lows in the 50s. Saturday skies will be clear and sunny with a high of 78 degrees. Winds will reach up to 10 miles per hour. Saturday night will be clear with a low of 55 degrees. On our satellite map, you can see Hurricane Arthur approaching New England. It is expected to bring rain showers this weekend. After the storms clear, we should have a mostly sunny Sunday, then back to the storms. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in Vermont, the Bellows Falls Farmers Market will take place at 4 p.m. In Putney, the Yellow Barn's opening night concert will begin at 8 p.m. at the Big Barn. At 5:30 tomorrow evening, the second annual watermelon race will take place in Sunapee, New Hampshire at Burkhaven Hill. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. The New Hampshire Fisher Cats had yet another successful game last night. They dominated Reading again with a final score of 7-1 in the third game against Reading in the series. Reading originally took away the Fisher Cats' 6-game winning streak on Monday during the first game with them. They continued to outsmart Reading on Tuesday with a 6-2 win, and last night. The final game of the series takes place tonight at Reading at 7:05 p.m.